These days, it can be hard to trust the media. What's true, what's fake, and who is behind the message? I'm a freelance journalist and videographer who has spent years studying the media. Now I'm taking a look at what local, regional, and national news stories mean to us here in North Central Washington. I'm Dominick Bonny, and this is Common Sense. Hello and welcome to Common Sense. I'm Dominick Bonny, and today we're going to head to East Wenatchee and meet a local man named Van Brinkerhoff who fixes up old bikes and gives them away on Facebook groups in the Wenatchee Valley. But first, I have to remark upon how the Wenatchee School Board races turned out. I actually went to the Chelan County Auditor's office at the courthouse on Friday, November 5th to see the results as soon as they released them. And things turned out about how I expected. Let's roll some of that footage.
We are adding those to the website as I speak. Right now, none of the races are in a mandatory recount
None of them are?
area. No.
Oh, where is it? What page? 51%. We did it. Yeah. We did it. We did it.
There
We're
are
on page
98
6.
ballots yet to count.
Maria Iniguez keeps her seat she was appointed to, which makes her the first Latina elected to the Wenatchee School Board. The first Latina in 2021 in a district that is 50% Latino. Let that sink in for a minute. Half the students in the district are Latino, and Maria Iniguez is the first Latina elected to the Wenatchee School Board, ever. She beat her opponent, Matt Van Bogart, by just 350 votes. He's the guy who fat-shamed folks who have died of COVID at Central Washington Hospital. According to Matt, our friends and neighbors who succumbed to the virus did so because they were probably overweight and unhealthy, according to him and his friends. The guy who bullied his way through the campaign told people to shut up and refused to follow the rules, effectively helping shut down the August 24th Wenatchee School Board meeting, only lost by 350 votes. 350 made the difference between Matt Van Bogart and Maria Iniguez. Think about that the next time someone says your vote doesn't matter. Incumbent Julie Norton keeps her seat by the hair of her chinny chin chin, winning by just 127 votes, hardly a mandate. And Catherine Thomas eked out a win over incumbent Michelle Sandberg, unseating her after gaining just 213 more votes. Like I said, none of these wins are anything close to a mandate, and that's actually a huge rebuke for the conservative candidates' handlers, the party bosses in the Chelan County Republican Party. See, they wanted to gain the 3-person majority they would need to control the school board by proxy. But they failed to achieve their goal. Not only did they fail to take over the school board, but they also revealed that they have no respect for the norms of school board elections. Most importantly, the norm that these are supposed to be nonpartisan races. This time around, the Chelan County GOP threw all of that out the window and unabashedly backed Van Bogart, Norton, and Thomas, revealing that they care more about a political party's control over our school district than they do the students, teachers, and average families who rely on the district to provide quality educations and nonpartisan employment. The GOP-backed candidates even had the help of the state Republican Party and still couldn't gain the majority they so desperately wanted. They might try and spin it as some kind of win, but there's no question they failed. The only question left at this point is this: will anti-masking enthusiast and new board member Catherine Thomas learn how to wear a mask before the next in-person board meeting, or will she be a Zoom-only board member? Time will tell. Let's leave the Wenatchee School Board in the rearview mirror for now and go to Van's workshop, where he fixes up old bikes.
Well, my name is Van Brinkerhoff, and a fairly recent resident here, came from the west side. Just beat the COVID thing by a month or so, so that was a really good thing. But actually, I've worked on my own bikes for a number of years, and kind of when the COVID restrictions came in and, we weren't traveling very much and that kind of thing, I thought, well, what the heck, I got a little bit of room and a lot of time. And so more than anything, I'm self-taught. I've gone to a couple of schools, bike repair schools, but, that's pretty minimal. So it's mainly just, getting bikes that get donated to me and kind of figuring out how they work. And actually, I've got to give a real big shout out to Dan over at Full Circle Cycle.
And so how long have you been fixing up bikes and giving them away? Did you do that before you moved to town?
No, that was pretty much started about a year ago. Like I said, I ran into Dan at Full Circle Cycle, and he kind of encouraged me. I asked him some repair questions, and he said, "Here, I'll just give you a bike. You can go, wrench on it and just see how it works." Yeah. And he had people that would come in with bikes and say, "Can you fix it?" And he'd say, "Well, yeah, I can. It's going to cost X number of dollars." They'd say, "It's not worth it to me. Yeah. Do you want the bike?" And so he had a fair number of bikes, and over the months he'd just call me up and he'd say, "Hey, I got another couple of bikes. Come take a look, see if you want them." And so basically I just took everything and put a little shed in back and would throw them in there and kind of part them out. And then I think I ran into you kind of with a Facebook question through Together Wenatchee, and I was trying to put together a group to kind of advertise that I was going to give these bikes away. Yeah. And that never came about because I kind of was focused on kids' bikes. Yeah. And now I do about half kids' bikes and half adult bikes. So the name, I think it was Bikes for Kids Bikes Wenatchee or something like that was the web or the Facebook name, but it never really worked, and the name was a little bit inappropriate. So I've just been doing stuff through primarily through Together Wenatchee. I see. But I also have been doing giving away a number of bikes to the Women's Resource Center. Oh, cool. Actually, some guys that work around here, I've given away to those guys. Oh. Actually, the contractor that was doing the hole and all that kind of stuff, he had two guys, and they kind of laughed about the pile of bikes in the back at the time. And I said, "Hey, do you want a mountain bike? Do you ride mountain bikes?" And he said, "Well, yeah, actually we do." I said, "Well, do you want one?" And they were like, "No, really?" I said, "Yeah, give me 2 or 3 weeks. I need to fix them up, but yeah, I'll give them to you." That's cool. And so I don't think they really believed me at all. Yeah. So I called up Juan, their boss, and I said, "Hey, can I get a couple of phone numbers, or can you just tell these guys I got 2 bikes?" And he said, "Okay, yeah, no problem. No, they'll come by and pick them up." And so one afternoon I was out here, and these 2 guys came walking down the road. The gate was locked, and I guess Juan didn't give them the code or something. Oh, okay. They parked up on 8th and just walked down, and I gave them the bikes. They jumped on them and rode back up the hill. So yeah, it was kind of a funny story.
So how many bikes would you say you've fixed up and given away since you started?
Oh, 25, 30, maybe more. Something like that.
And how long on average does it take you to fix them up?
It really depends. I've gotten much faster at taking them apart, putting them back together. Often the holdup is if you got to buy parts. I buy a lot of stuff off Amazon, and most of these are not high-end, super expensive bikes. So most of that, in terms of parts and supplies and stuff, is pretty readily available on Amazon. Some things a little longer lead time, but anywhere from, like last week, I think I did 3 bikes in 2 days. Oh. But other weeks it might take all week to do 1 bike. Sure. So it depends a little bit on how much time I've got, but also the parts situation. And some bikes need very little. Just clean them up. Maybe change the tube, the inner tube. But other bikes, like this one, this is a full teardown, so all the bearings and whatnot will need to be serviced and cleaned, and so.
Very cool. And so the cost involved, is that all out of pocket? Do people donate?
No, it's all out of pocket. Yeah, it's
generous. How much would you say it costs you to buy these parts and to get these things? You said they're not super expensive bikes, but still there's a cost.
Yeah, it's it's funny if the tires are good on a bike, it's going to be pretty cheap to repair. Really? Tires often tend to be the most expensive stuff. You can get a little kid's bike. You could buy a brand new kid's bike on Amazon for I don't know, $100. You know, a little girl's bike with streamers and pink and all that kind of stuff. But it would cost you $40 for a set of tires. Wow. So 40% of the cost of new just for tires. So, you know, it really varies. You know, this thing right here, I tore it apart. There's not much wrong with it, so it's more a matter of just cleaning it up. I'll buy a few minor things, the shift cables and stuff, that'll have to be new. So, you know, I might spend $15-20 on this. But, you know, other bikes, maybe I could spend, you know, $40, $50, $60 on a bike. So it varies.
Well, that's, like I said, very generous of you. Are you thinking, you know, what's long term for you? I mean, are you planning on having other people help out or passing this off on, or just kind of hobby?
It's, you know, it started out kind of on a couple of planes. One is I have some time. I got a little bit of money, so I can, you know, I don't need to make any money off this. So that was one aspect. The other aspect is I kind of like mechanicking. I'm kind of mechanically inclined. In fact, I have an engineering degree, so it kind of plays into my personality a little bit. Sure. But when I was working, I was involved in, you know, a lot of organization and dealing with people and, you know, sales and all that kind of stuff. And boy, that is just not what I want to do. Yeah. So when I started, I thought, you know, this is a one-man show, and if I decide to, you know, get in the car and drive for a month, I don't want to be, you know, causing problems for other folks. Right. So it's pretty much, you know, you're looking at the whole operation here. Yeah. Somebody gave me this. Actually, I think Dan gave me this one a few weeks ago, and it sat in the back there. And somebody saw a post, a Facebook post about, you know, a bike I was giving away, and he said, "Say, I've got a couple of bikes. Do you want them? We're moving." Uh-huh. And he says, "So we're downsizing. We're moving to Arizona or something." And I said, "Well, sure." And he said, "Okay." He says, I don't know if they're any good." So I met him, and turns out he lives like half a mile from here. Oh, okay. Just over in the apple orchards. But he, in fact, this bike right here, that's one of the two he gave me. And there's a new seat on it, and I've adjusted it and cleaned it. But other than that, it's what he gave me. Yeah. It didn't look real good. It just needed a good cleaning, but
it's not in bad shape.
So actually I'm taking it down to a lady at 4 o'clock this afternoon. She's giving it to her son. Oh, so anyway. But
and have you been a cyclist as a hobby yourself? Or?
Yeah. I didn't start out that way. I was more a Nordic skier, cross-country skier. My boss at K2, he was a big cyclist. And part of the portfolio at K2 at one time, when I first started, they had bicycles, K2 bikes. Okay. And so I bought a couple of those and got one for my wife. And actually, I think she still has one here somewhere, or that blue one. Oh. And so I got kind of interested in, you know, biking because of that.
What's the feedback from people? Have you know, do people send you pictures with their new bikes and thanks and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's, you know, I've gotten a couple of pictures. People seem to appreciate it. Yesterday when I gave a bike away, for the first time, a lady tried to offer me money, and I said, "Nah, you know, yeah. I appreciate it, but you know, go buy something for the bike on, you know, and whatnot with that." And I think people are often more appreciative than they're able to verbalize. Because I kind of hear secondhand that people appreciate things than, you know, directly. I mean, not to say that anybody's ever been unappreciative.
Yeah.
They all say thank you very much, appreciated all that, and that's really nice. But I think it's it's something for nothing. I think maybe people aren't used to that as much, and so they're kind of a little questioning. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And yet, I think that's the history of our country too.
I was going to say, it's so un-American.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's become that way, but I don't think it was historically. Right. So, helping out people is good. And, I mean, I'm somewhat altruistic, but really a big part of the motivation is learn how to become a better mechanic as well. So, if I can do that and also help people out, they get a bike, kid gets on a bike, or adult gets on a bike and rides around. That, I think that just is a big plus for everybody.
Stay tuned after the break for the rest of the interview.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Yes, it's me. It's my husband. I think there's something the matter with him.
It was a feeling that I'll never forget, like being able to meet them and know that he survived.
Okay, tell me what's happening. Is he conscious?
No, he's not. He's not.
Okay, take a deep breath for me. I'm getting you help.
Rivercom means to me that I still have my husband here with me. They're the ones that guided me through saving his life.
When it comes to finding a memory care community, you want the very best. You want to know that your loved one is safe and receiving compassionate care in a loving environment. Fieldstone Memory Care is an innovative assisted living community designed for those with Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's disease. You'll find a community specifically designed to enrich residents' lives. The Fieldstone team is here to help you navigate the important decisions you face when a loved one has dementia or Alzheimer's. Welcome home to Fieldstone.
You're in Ford Country, land of Pat Armstrong, Ford Lincoln, home of the lifetime warranty. That'll sure get you thinking.
Get ready for fall and winter with a new or used truck or SUV from North Central Washington's four-wheel drive headquarters, Pat Armstrong Ford Lincoln, on 3rd Street in East Wenatchee.
Land of Pat Armstrong, Ford Lincoln, you're in Ford Country.
I'm here at the Discovery Center at Rocky Reach Dam, where there's a ton of cool stuff to do. You can learn how the dam harnesses the power of the Columbia, walk inside a Native American Tule Lodge, and steer clear of disaster on the Rock Island Rapids. You can check out the new fish viewing space and even stare a salmon right in the eye. Explore all this and more at Chelan County PUD's brand new Discovery Center at Rocky Reach Dam, now open year-round.
Welcome back. Let's get right back to my interview with Van Brinkerhoff, a retiree who spends some of his time fixing up old bikes to donate to those who can't afford new ones.
Is the aspect of health and fitness a motivator for you? Because this gives people an opportunity to get outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah. Biking. Bicycling has become quite a bit more popular maybe in the last 10, 15, 20 years than it has been historically in the United States. And when you, say, compare it to Europe and stuff, I mean, you look at all the bike racing that goes over there, and it's a huge spectator sport over there. Here, you barely get a blip on the radar. But that's changing, and so more people that get out on a bike and ride a bike, the more they're going to be not only gaining health, and fitness from that, but also they become if not hardcore advocates, at least positive advocates for more bike paths and just better infrastructure for biking and it's healthier than driving a car around all the time if you can do it. So
for the environment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And here is one of the, we used to come over here when we lived on the west side and we would ride a fair amount, but the Apple Loop Trail is, talk about a resource. I mean, it's just spectacular. All year long you can ride the thing, and you can ride up to the dam, and you can, ride out to here, to Kirby Billingsley. So, it's pretty good infrastructure for, the size of the community we have, but that doesn't mean we can't advocate for more. You know, I'd love to see the Kirby Billingsley Trail, you know, go out to Rock Island or even out to the dam, or, you know.
Yeah, from dam to dam would be pretty cool.
That would be very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So,
wow.
More people advocating for that, you know, the more tax dollars we can spend on that.
Yeah,
So,
well, and it's stuff like this that lower the barrier to entry to zero for people, and maybe this is just their first bike or their first entry into it, and then that's the beginning of a lifelong love of cycling, you know.
I was have a dentist who is a very interesting guy, and turns out he was a cyclist when he was younger in college, but we were talking one day, and he said he's got a fairly new son. I think he's a year or two old, and he says, yeah, I asked him if he was going to get his son into bicycling. He says, oh yeah. He says, you get the kids involved in cycling early on, you know, it's good for everything, but the bottom line is they will spend so much money on bicycling that they couldn't afford drugs and alcohol. I thought, okay, yeah, that's one way to look at it.
It's true, though. It's an interesting hobby because you say that these are all kind of lower price range, but it's a hobby that can be very affordable to get into, but also you have some high end stuff where it's like some of these bikes cost as much as a used car. Oh yeah. You know, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I just ordered a new titanium frame that set me back a little bit.
Yeah.
So
they can do that.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you want the community to know about what you're doing, and also how can people support you or get involved, or if they're interested in, they're mechanically inclined, any advice for getting into this sort of a hobby?
Well, it's not particularly expensive, but it's also, you know, not inexpensive. I mean, you get to buy some tools, and that's kind of fun, and, you know, every day there's a new tool that you really ought to be buying, and, you know, so you know, that's a consideration. Plus, I think there's a little bit of space concern. You know, when I was in Seattle, we had a one-car garage, and so I'd have to take the car and back it out and move stuff around, and, you know, so a little bit of space and a little bit of, you know, thought about how much you're interested in spending for that kind of hobby. You know, it's not like it's not expensive like owning a, you know, 40-foot boat or something.
Sure.
So, you know, perspective on that. But I think that the one thing that I think is good, it's been beneficial for everybody, is that the more people that ride bikes, the more people become aware of bicycling, and that encompasses a lot of things. It's, you know, drivers. Obviously, you know, like to not get hit on a bicycle, but, you know, if you get in an altercation with a vehicle, you're going to lose. Yeah. So having driver awareness is a big thing. So more cyclists out there that are riding around and doing it safely, and, you know, all of that kind of thing, I think makes people better drivers, and it makes cyclists better cyclists. So just a greater awareness. You know, it's kind of like wearing seatbelts, or, you know, anti-drunk driving laws. You know, people become aware of that over time, and so it's a learning process. Yeah. So the more bicyclists, I think, the better for everybody in that regard. Yeah. You know, plus we talked about the fitness aspect of it and the recreation aspect of it. I think that, you know, that's a great way for, you know, whether it's just an individual or whether it's a family or even bigger groups, to get together and get out and recreate. Do something that's healthy and fun, and it's outdoors. You know, that's a pretty appealing kind of thing. Yeah. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And like you just said, I mean, the infrastructure, we have a lot of great infrastructure, and we could have more, but this is a great place to ride bikes. The Central Washington, specifically Wenatchee Valley.
It's, I mean, we used to come over here from the west side to ride because it was so much different in Seattle. You know, in Seattle, I'd have to get up really early in the morning to ride my bike to work. It was only 6-7 miles, but you know, it was a busy commute if it was too late. I see. Here it's like, commute? What do you mean? Yeah. I don't understand that word over here. So So it's a whole different experience and a very enjoyable one. You can ride on the roads here and by and large feel safe just about anywhere. It's not true in a lot of places.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the only other thing I can think about for this interview is I'll probably give a plug for Wenatchee Valley Velo group as well. I'm not sure if you know much about them, but they are they've been giving away helmets.
Yeah.
So I mean, between, you know, what I hope is not necessarily everybody to deluge you with requests, but if people get a bike from you, they can also get a helmet for their kid for free through the Velo, and that's everything you need to have a nice day on a bike.
When my wife and I started the Together Wenatchee group on Facebook right after the COVID shutdowns and quarantines, we did that mostly to help people stay connected and support the business community, especially locally owned restaurants and retailers. We had no idea that it would become a resource for a kind retiree to find homes for bikes he fixes up, or that it would be a place where locals could coalesce around and support charities like the Little Free Essentials Pantries or Small Miracles, which do a lot to fight childhood hunger right here in the Wenatchee Valley. We started that group in part because we felt powerless and isolated and wanted to do something positive and impactful. Now it's closing in on 2 years later, and I am incredibly proud of what that Facebook group has blossomed into and the stories and connections that have come out of it. Van and his bike giveaways are just one thread in a rich tapestry of community that makes this valley a truly special place to live. But tapestries can fray and after time become threadbare and even tear. It's important that we acknowledge and celebrate people like Van. It's important that we maintain the strength of that tapestry, the strength of our community. That doesn't mean that we should not disagree or ignore the problems in our community. It means that we should endeavor to do so in a way that acknowledges the dignity of those with whom we may disagree. Like my friend and mentor, Earl Tilley likes to say, you can disagree without being disagreeable. I hope that this story and the experiences that some of the candidates running for the Wenatchee School Board had in this last election will help them understand and appreciate the concept of manners and decorum. Join me next time as I sit down with a traveling nurse working in the area who is an immigrant from Ethiopia. We'll talk about her perspectives as an immigrant from Africa and as a traveling nurse, as well as the incredibly sad and violent events plaguing Ethiopia right now. I'm Dominick Bonny, and that's next time on Common Sense.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires, reminding you that changing seasons can mean changing road conditions. Introducing the brand new Backcountry AT2 for a quieter ride with improved performance in wet conditions. Because when it comes to keeping your family safe, the right tires help you feel prepared for anything. Seriously, anything. Now save up to $130 when you buy Quadtrac tires with financing. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Hi, I'm Jim Heinlein, independent agent at Springwater Insurance Group. And for next year's plans, there's some really special ones coming out. One in particular has no premium to it. 0 premium. That's pretty neat, especially if you're a veteran who has TRICARE or VA or CHAMPS VA, because you can utilize 2 plans at the same time. If you have questions about this and like more information, give us a call at 888-2600.
Who are you talking to? I told you, knock it off!
End the cycle. Call SAGE, Safety, Advocacy, Growth, and Empowerment. Get private, anonymous counseling. Learn how SAGE can help you. Receive legal assistance and protection. SAGE also offers a safe place for you and your children. Of course, a hug from Hank always helps. Sage can help you move on with your life. Call Sage today.